What is up, guys, and welcome back. Welcome in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is a live edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Got a great guest with me today, none other than Clint Foster. And Clint, can you tell everybody really quick, and we'll go on here in a few minutes when more people come in, if more people come in, and let you plug your stuff as well again. But real quick, right off the top, tell everybody where they can find you on X and on YouTube.
Yeah, sure. So on X, you can follow me at Clint_Foster55, mostly talking about TCU athletics, but I joke about plenty of other things on there as well. I also have a no context TCU football Twitter account if you're interested in that sort of thing. You can find me on YouTube at Clint Foster Comedy. That's where you'll find all of my sketches, Big 12 themed sketches. During football season, it's very TCU heavy because I do TCU reaction videos like TCU fans during such and such game. And I also feature fans of the other school as well. But in the off season, lots of realignment stuff, lots of, any manner of just Big 12 themed jokes. I've done several West Virginia videos, like a call with Pitt.
I love the West Virginia character, man. It's always great to see somebody from, the Midwest or, like in Texas, which I guess is considered more West or South, depending on where you are.
Texas Southwest. Is just Texas. Let's be honest. Texas is its own.
It is. It's its own place. But it's always interesting to see somebody what they think, what their view into what West Virginia might be like from their perspective is, and I always find that interesting to see because you've got people that they might go full deliverance. You never know what somebody's take on it is going to be. Right. So I really like to see that. And I'll tell you what, guys, Clint does a bunch of characters. He really does. He's really talented. He's got acting experience. I think he even was in Hollywood for a little while. Am I wrong about that?
No,
for
a little while. For a handful of years.
So, he's a gifted dude, and he loves the comedy. And I think, if you like that kind of stuff, check it out, man. He does a really good job. Timothy Green, what's up, brother? He said, "What's up, Clint? Do you remember me?"
Yeah, man, yeah. I think Tim has also jumped on. I got a new live show that I do that you were a part of, Paul, the other day. The Biggest 12. You can find the Biggest 12 on the Voice of College Football Network. I do that with in conjunction with Mark Rogers. So definitely give us a look over there and subscribe to that one too. That's a new show that we're trying to grow.
Yep. Mark's got it all over there. Silas, what's up, brother? So, big game tomorrow, man. I'm excited about it. I think, I was talking to my buddy Kuz the other day about this, and these are two teams that, in their own ways have questions about the competition, about the environments they played in. Now, obviously, Penn State's not to be that's a good football team, and I knew you guys were blindsided by Colorado.
Yeah.
I think both first games had their own issues. I think as a West Virginia fan, what we worry about is we held Texas Tech to 13 points. That's good any day of the week. I don't care what team you are. Mm-hmm. But it was cold and it was rainy. The quarterback gets hurt. And so these questions, is our defense really as good as the numbers say? Obviously, Duquesne hit a couple passes on us that was like, whoa, where did that come from? And then we locked up Pitt. There was really nothing there for them in that game. TCU, and you look at you guys, you look at TCU, you guys, the last three games that you played outside of Colorado, some people have questions about the strength of that competition. And I don't know if you as a TCU fan feel that way, or if you feel like maybe you're getting snubbed or maybe just disrespected, even that you played in the national championship game last year, but you lost a bunch. Where do you guys feel like you land at with all that?
Yeah, I think the criticism is fair. I think, as
on
a
both
TCU
ends?
fan, so I think as a TCU fan, the last three games, I've been really pleased with the way that the defense has come along. Yes, Houston is not a good team. We were talking about this on my show the other day. That may be the worst team in the Big 12. But holding Houston to not a single offensive touchdown, that's progress, especially where you look at where our defense was against Colorado in that first game. And SMU's not a bad team this year. There's a lot of talent on that SMU squad. I would not be the least bit surprised if they're a minimum 8-win team by the time the season's over with. And Colorado, when you look at that Colorado game, we scored the same amount on Colorado as Oregon did. This is just a matter of, first of all, we threw 2 interceptions in the end zone, in the red zone. You throw 1 less interception, you win that game. Also, we had exactly 0 hours of film to prepare for that game. People forget about that. Like, we had no clue. Nobody had any clue what this Colorado team was going to look like, how these players were going to fit together, if it was going to even translate to FBS. So, every single team that came after them, Colorado State, Oregon, Nebraska looked terrible, but, they had a major benefit of having Colorado on film to prepare.
They did. There's no doubt about it.
So,
I think Shedeur.
Yeah, and Shedeur's great. And Travis Hunter, my gosh, like that dude absolutely should be in the Heisman conversation. I don't care who you are. You should be talking about him for the Heisman. That's an incredible two-way player. But, so, all things considered, I'm pleased with where we're at as a squad right now. This game is going to tell us a lot because West Virginia has surprised a lot of people. They've certainly surprised me, really putting things together. The climb is being trusted, right? So we're going to see here with a rowdy, full Fort Worth crowd at night what both of these teams are going to look like. It is exciting, too, and this may be partially the national championship effect, but we've been setting attendance records 2 of our 4 games this year. So, 2 of our 3 home games, the other being against Nicholls State, are now in the top 5 all time of TCU home game attendance. I mean, it's literally like Colorado, Utah in 2009, which was that was our first game day experience. It was massive. And then SMU is now number 3. And that was miserable weather, too, for that game. It was really hot. Usually in the past, our fans haven't shown out for miserable weather games. So there's a lot of excitement, if nothing else.
Agreed, man. And one thing that gives us from West Virginia hope, we went to Penn State during a whiteout and didn't have 1 procedure penalty. I don't know how we pulled that off. I think that, we played well. I think the quality of our offensive line and the amount of starts those guys gives us a lot of hope about hopefully going into Fort Worth and duplicating that performance on the offensive line as far as procedure penalties go and things like that. Because you guys get loud, you get rambunctious. I don't think it's a slight against you guys to say you're probably it's not going to be as loud as the whiteout, so they've seen live bullets before. But it's still one heck of an atmosphere. I mean, it's a crazy atmosphere at TCU. I love watching them guys on TV. I really do. So really, really nervous about this game. I think a few of us think this could be the one we lose before we go on a run. Mm-hmm. If West Virginia is able to pull this off, we're talking about possibly I think a few of us think maybe 8, maybe even 10 wins for this team. But we're going to pump the brakes just a little bit, before we get into all that. Justin Campbell, thanks. Appreciate that, man. I'm trying. It's really not without, some other people that help me and reach out to people. So, but I do appreciate that. We've done pretty good here lately. Actually was supposed to have Clint on yesterday, but Steve Slayton happened.
Yeah, so I was like, know what? I'm okay with being bumped for Steve Slayton. I think that's
yeah, and that would happen so quickly. I should have communicated better with you. I do apologize for that, man. I was so excited. Don't even worry about it. That'd be like LaDainian Tomlinson saying, "Hey, you want to do a show?"
Yeah,
similar.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Who's Paul?
Yeah.
So let's talk about really quick this offensive line. Is it performing up to standard? I've listened to a couple shows today from the West Virginia point of view that say it's kind of patchwork unit that you guys aren't exactly pleased with yet. How does TCU people feel about that? Is it, average, a little bit below? Now, everything can't be compared to last year's whatever. I don't care what it is because we know as West Virginia fans, we've had a couple teams similar to the TCU team last year, and those are once in a decade type things that happen. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not fair to keep comparing everything you guys have to last year. But what do you say?
I mean, from my perspective and a lot of people I talk to, TCU fans are pleased with the offensive line. I mean, they're not among the greatest we've ever had. I mean, of course, it's a long season. Who's to say? But I mean, they've been serviceable. They're opening lanes for Amani Bailey and Trey Sanders. They're protecting Chandler Morris well enough. I mean, and the good thing about Chandler Morris is with his agility, he can cover up a multitude of sins on the offensive line. The much bigger concern for TCU fans this season has been the defensive line, which is only just in the last game or two started to, really, Houston was the first time the defensive line kind of had a pulse, and they performed a lot better against SMU. But that took a little bit of time to get rolling, and that was one that a lot of us were like, are we actually terrible? Like, we might actually be really bad because we're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. Offense makes mistakes at key moments in the red zone. This is not looking good, right? This is looking like it could be that complete fall off after a magical year. But I mean, things seem to be coming together. Knock very hard on wood on both sides of the lines as far as TCU is concerned.
Well, the combined weight of that three down front is over 900 pounds. Those are some big boys, and the guy that covers the nose for y'all is going to have his work cut out for him. Probably the best center of the conference. And among the best in the country, in Zach Frazier for West Virginia. That'll be an interesting matchup. I think that's one part of you guys, because it's not that – so you guys have the top-ranked rush D, but it's almost – and I'm not trying to be negative at all, but the teams you have faced wanted to pass the ball, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, although the defensive line has played well, and you guys have a pass rusher. How do you say that name? That comes off the edge with the O.
Geez. He's a new kid, and I know who you're talking about. But hold up, let me search it real quick because I know exactly who you're talking about. I can vamp for a second. I know he's Nigerian. I remember that much.
Yeah, Tony was trying to say it earlier on the show, and we were like, I don't know what that is.
Hold on, TCU football roster.
Appreciate that, Timothy Green. I appreciate you for shouting that out, man. You guys do a really good job. While Clint checks that out, I wanted to let you guys know about something really quick. I mentioned it in the Steve Slayton video last night, but I actually have membership levels now, guys, and a lot of you guys have asked me about this. I mentioned it last night. Haven't gotten any of you guys to click on it yet, so one of you guys can be the first member ever for me. There's 2 tiers. There's a $2.99 tier. That's what I call the Mountaineer Fanatic tier. Members only live chats. Also, we're going to do what's called a debate and discuss, which means you will get priority over most other people in the comments. I'll go back and forth with you as long as you want to go. And then the Mountaineer Insider is, a lot of you guys know, if you followed my show for a long time, I get a lot of intel out of Morgantown. I've proven that. I talk with players, talk with coaches, anything you want to know. I talk with recruits, and I post our text messages in a screenshot on my shows to prove to you guys that I'm not just BSing. And so what you would get for that package is early access to what recruits are saying, early access to certain things. And that's why I call it the Mountaineer Insider. Also, I'm going to offer a on StreamYard here. I'm not sure how many seats there'll be available, but we're going to watch live streams together and watch the games together and talk with each other, kind of like how me and Clint are right here. If that's something that interests you, and be honest with me, if $6.99 is too much for that, I'll lower it. I don't know, and it's just all kind of new, so just let me know how you feel, you guys. If you do become a member for that level package, I promise you I'll follow through. If you want to do the $2.99, same as that. All right, Clint.
So it's Paul Oyewole.
Oyewole, that's how it is.
Yes, it's phonetic, like exactly like you read it exactly like it says there. Oh, that's a glare off of my light. Sorry about it. Paul Oyewole.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, gotcha. But he's a redshirt freshman, so he's one that, again, like was not in any of our collective consciousness last year. But he has come on well. And I saw somebody in the chat like, yes, I'm aware that we haven't really played much of anybody since Colorado, but that's really the nice thing about our schedule. And one reason why a lot of TCU fans actually got pretty confident going into this season, the more we learned about how much talent we had on this roster. And I went to a practice and was like, wow, actually, we might be able to not necessarily repeat, but could potentially appear in the Big 12 championship again. Because, you got all this talent, and we got, no disrespect to West Virginia, but our schedule kind of gradually ramps up. And certainly looking at it in the offseason, we don't really face the top echelon of the conference, or what we assumed was going to be the top echelon of the conference, until the very end of the year. Right now, that Baylor game right there at the end is like, oh, well, that's kind of nice. That's a nice little break. But
yeah,
between
I
Texas
think a few
and
of us are
Oklahoma.
thinking that.
But yeah, so, and I think I love where this West Virginia game is falling, because the way that y'all have looked so far this year, it's a good enough test to say, okay, so like, are we actually improving at the rate that we feel like we are? But it's also not like we're not playing Texas. It's not like, oh man, this is when we really gotta, everything's got to go right, and like, we're favored in this game. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams look, quite frankly, because you're saying it. West Virginia's got a very good offensive line. I would argue to say the best offensive line, certainly that we have seen, and probably that we will see until Kansas State, I think. So it's, or maybe BYU. But anyway, really good test for us, really good measuring stick to see where we're at as far as our development, I think.
Absolutely. And on the defensive line, I would argue that you could put us in the top 3 or 4 on that side of the ball too. We roll in 11 guys right now, and there's very little drop off from 1 to 11. It's been amazing. And what you guys are going to try to do with that fast tempo offense is prevent us from substituting.
Yeah.
It's a really cool cat and mouse game that goes on between these type of offenses that you guys run, and then the kind of defenses that we run, where we roll in a lot of different guys. If you guys are able to get first downs, that means we get tired. If we get 3 and outs, that means we get to roll in everybody we want to roll in, pretty much. So I think that's going to be something to watch. Can you talk to me a little bit about, forgive me if I'm forgetting his name right off the top of my head, but the linebacker, do we have an injury update on him or not?
Talking about Johnny Hodges?
Yes.
So he's got a thumb injury. I haven't heard anything definitive. I know it's just kind of touch and go right now. He played a little bit against SMU with the thumb injury. I think he had like a big mitten on or something along those lines. But the last I've heard is it's just kind of like, hey, we're just kind of game time decision, wait and see. Obviously he's one of our better linebackers, but we've got some interesting pieces that we've been rotating in. Obviously, Jamoy Hodges, huge. A lot of TCU fans have been curious why we haven't been seeing more of Marcel Brooks, especially earlier on in the year we were having so much struggle with the pass rush. But we've been seeing a lot of Shad Banks, especially with Johnny Hodges being in and out of injury. And Shad Banks, there's certainly no athletic drop-off there. So we'll see what happens on Saturday.
And Johnny Hodges, from the numbers I have, ranks 4th in the Big 12 in run stops. And he's also, and you have 3 linebackers in the top 17 in run stops. So I think that's going to be a key matchup as well. Obviously, the 3 defensive linemen in the scheme you guys run, in that Gillespie scheme, stop the run, or they take up blocks, and then you guys let those DBs and linebackers fit gaps.
Yeah,
and it's a really interesting defense.
Spill and kill.
Yeah, and we ran that for years here at West Virginia, the 3-2-5 stack. It's a great defense, especially in the Big 12. So get to a couple of these comments here. Well, we got some arguments going on in the comments. No, not too much. Hey, David Cummings, I appreciate that, brother. I don't know for sure, but I think you might be number 1. That means a lot, brother. Bama 25, good to see you in here. No line touches ours on either side of the ball. Not so far. Not so far. What is up, Outlaw? Outlaw college football. If WVU beats TCU, I think this could determine 7-5 or possibly even 9-3. Let's lose, go 7-5. Win in the conference may take you to 9 wins and save Brown's job. I agree with that, brother. I really do. You guys should go check out Outlaw of College Football. He's similar in that he is very comedic in nature, similar to Clint. So I think you guys would really like him, especially if you like Clint stuff. Outlaw is one of the best out there. He does a lot of Oklahoma content, a lot of USC content, and I don't mean that in a good way for certain teams. So just go check it out. He doesn't care to call people out. That's for sure. Thanks, Outlaw. Appreciate you, man. So let's talk about Chandler Morris, man. This is a kid that doesn't have a lot of experience, really. How many games has he played in so far?
So career or just Like a
Career,
first
yeah.
career? Okay, so he had the start against Baylor in 2021, the magical start against Baylor that he wins, keep them out of the playoff. He started against Oklahoma State and got hurt, so he didn't finish that game. And then Colorado, which he got hurt in last year, that leads to Max coming in. And
which
then
was magical.
Now Colorado, Nichols, Houston, SMU. So 7 games, or a part of 7 games in his college career.
So it's not, we're not just saying anything to say that this kid's not fully experienced yet, right?
No,
he's
that's
gaining
100%
experience.
Fair.
Yeah. This is not going to be a defensive team that tries to trick him. The reason West Virginia's defense has been successful thus far is because they simplified it, and they've been very open about that. They had too many. Basically, what Alabama runs is what we were trying to run, which is basically it's like a zone, but it has a man concepts. When somebody comes into your area, you pick them up man. And there was too much lack of communication going on. They just weren't able to pick it up. And for whatever reason, a lot of new pieces, transfer portal, this and that. And so they've simplified that thing. And now guys can just play football. And I think coaches forget that sometimes, is to just let them do their thing, let them play football, and whatever works, you know? So
you can play much faster when you know what you're doing, you know, and that's so much of defense is playing fast and reacting, not having to think about what you're doing.
For sure.
No.
So I think that bodes well for Chandler. Savion Williams still on the outside for you guys, who's had a massive catch against West Virginia last year. And there's a few other kids that have come along for you guys. You're getting a couple back for this game. Can you talk about the skill positions surrounding Chandler and just the overall performance and expectations of this group?
Yeah. So you mentioned Savion. He's definitely one that's just oozing with potential, but he's been battling, I think it's a hamstring issue, something that's been keeping him on and off the field. So he really hadn't had that huge breakout moment yet. He had a nice catch against Houston, but he's just not getting enough run really because of his injury issues. Really, man, the star of our receiving core right now is Jared Wiley, because Kendall Briles.
He's a handful.
Yeah, so he's a huge tight end, and Kendall Briles knows how to scheme him open. And, man, we were going to that well a lot in the SMU game. Jared Wiley is a beast in the red zone. Also, J.P. Richardson is a solid possession receiver for us. Got him from Oklahoma State. He's another one that was a little slow coming on. And Dalen Wright from Minnesota. He's another one who's struggled with an injury. He didn't really play against SMU, but had a really good opening game against Colorado and is going to factor heavily into the passing game here moving forward. So he is going to be available for West Virginia. I know that for a fact. But this receiving core is stupid deep. I mean, there is no Quentin Johnston in this receiving core. There's no star go-to guy, which does hurt us a little bit. A lot of TCU fans have been hoping that Savion could become that guy, keyword become. But right now it's a lot of, death by 1,000 cuts. And like you throw it to JoJo Earl here, you throw it to Jared Wiley there, you hit Jack Becht there, Savion Williams, really a lot of spreading it around. And another one is Major, golly Moses. Major, geez. I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank.
I saw him he did an interview earlier. I saw with the kids. His first name starts with an M. You say
it's Major something.
I saw an interview with the kid earlier. I don't remember his name either. Obviously, he's probably fourth or fifth on the depth chart.
I mean, he's been getting a lot of playing time at receiver and a little bit at returner too. Major Everhart. I'm like, he sounds like a Final Fantasy character. I can't remember. Like he sounds like he's from Kingdom Hearts, right? Major Everhart.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's a very deep receiving core. There's a lot of raw talent. Jared Wiley is the closest we have to that go-to guy right now. But definitely a difficult challenge, I would say, for any secondary.
Definitely. And I appreciate you again, Outlaw. He said, y'all help me under Paul out and support the program by hitting the $1 next to the message bar. Get your comment highlighted and move to the top. Get rid out quicker. It means a ton to me, dude, that you're down there doing that. That's super nice, man. It means a lot. So obviously the focus of this offense, which I'm not saying you didn't see it coming. This kid balled out at times last year. I mean, I think he took one to the house, maybe against West Virginia last year, but Imani Bailey leads the Big 12 in rushing. You can make a case for him. You can make a case for Taj Brooks. You can make a case for C.J. Donaldson. Definitely, there's a lot of good running backs in this league that do it different ways. This kid has sweet feet, is extremely elusive, and can take it to the house at any point in time. And he is somebody that I think we'll be keying on. Probably going to try to make Morris beat us rather than him beat us. Is how I would do it. But
that's what I would do too. Absolutely.
He's a dangerous player, and you've even got good players behind him. He's not the only one. He's just a featured one. Talk a little bit about this kid and how he's performed so far.
Yeah, so Imani Bailey, the best word I can use to describe him is explosive. He had one of his few big moments last year against West Virginia. He scored a touchdown late in that game, if I remember right.
I thought so.
Yeah. And he has sweet feet was such a great way to describe it, Paul. He can go just like make a move and then he's down the field. I think, yes, we do have other running backs, but I think there's some pretty considerable drop off from Imani Bailey to Trey Sanders, who's the next one down. Trey Sanders is more of the thunder to Imani Bailey's lightning. We've used him in a lot of short yardage situations. He's also super fond of jumping over guys. That somehow happened twice in this young season. And then behind him, Trent Battle is a much more of a third down pass catching type of running back. We've sent him out on a lot more passes. But Imani Bailey, he's definitely proven to be the feature back. And he's also got one of his little brother, also from Denton Ryan, is on the team as well now, playing receiver. He's not getting nearly as much run as Imani is, but that's a duo. You can't keep those Bailey boys down. It's they're going to be very they're going to be exciting moving forward in their career.
It's the Bailey circus. Everybody come on. Bama 25 said he's throwing shade. He said West Virginia will have 3+ interceptions, Clint.
Well, theoretically, you have the opportunity to get like 30 interceptions a game, matter of whether or not you catch them.
Interestingly enough, we dropped 2 in the Penn State game, and I'm talking right in the breadbasket. They would have turned that game around.
Chandler we also has certainly not been shy about throwing at opposing defenders early this season. So there's going to be chances there.
John Kelly's a loyal listener, and I always bring him up when he's in there, man. He said they have heard nothing but how bad we are all the time, so that makes the team at least play hard and maybe angry. I'm assuming he's talking about just generally speaking the media.
That was certainly us last year, no doubt.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I had a text message come through, caught me off guard. But in the media, obviously we were picked 14th, and that's been the drum that has really made this engine go for our West Virginia Mountaineers this year, man. You get picked 14th. I don't care how bad you are preseason. It's going to piss you off, and I really think at the end of the day, I think that's been a huge call to arms for this team. It really has. We actually had a guy come in, country music star come in, and he gave one hell of a speech. And they played. No, it was can anybody in the comments remember that country music kid that came in and spoke to the team before the season? It's like he's like a Morgan Wallen type guy, but that's not that name. I'll have to. He goes by 3 names.
We're killing it with the names today, Paul. We're just killing it.
We're doing great.
Names.
CTE.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't.
Outlaw said, "Where will JT Daniels transfer to next? The Nagasaki Egg Rolls of the Japanese American Football League or ARRP A&M?"
Yeah.
Good Lord, man.
He's gonna keep that career going as long as he can.
Yep. David Cummings, who is now a channel member, said John Wesley Carroll. Oh. That was the name of the guy. So he's got a couple hit songs out now.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about that defense a little bit, Clint. So just give us an overall breakdown. Who do you guys have at the DB safety spots? And talk about that defensive line just a little bit. Your first in run defense, last in pass defense. I think the defense is somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
And You're last in pass defense because
It's
Shedeur
because of Colorado. It's because of Colorado.
he just absolutely ripped you guys apart in game one.
Yeah.
So talk about that defense a little bit. What do you guys expect from them? Then we'll get a prediction and get out of here.
Game one? There's two things that happened in game one. First of all, we got absolutely zero pass rush. I don't think there was a single – there may have been one sack in the game. Watching that game and watching it a second time, it felt like there was not a single play where Shedeur was even hurried, right? And this was one of the reasons why after that we're like, oh, we're terrible. This is going to be the longest season ever. We're actually really bad. And also our DBs were playing like 10 yards off the wide receivers, which we're like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we at least pressing, to make them work for it? But I will tell you that the defensive backs are the strength of our team. We have some very solid defensive backs. Josh Newton, I mean, we
wanted him. He was down to us in TCU. You know that, right?
Yo, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, man, we came in second for him.
He's my favorite player on the team. He is such a great kid, huge leader. Every time he gets on the mic, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be inspired. I'm ready to run through a wall with whatever this kid's going to say. I think it'd be hard-pressed to find a better lockdown corner in the Big 12 this year than Josh Newton. He's very, very good at what he does. The other side has been, a little bit more of a learning process. It's been Avery Helm over there for the most part. It's a transfer from Florida. Bud Clark is back, and he's back to catching a lot of interceptions. He's kind of our roaming safety back there, wearing number 21 this year. He's the one who took one to the house against Michigan, had a game-saving interception against Baylor. He's still a very, very big piece of this defense. And you've also still got Millard Bradford, and you've got Louise. we got a lot of really good safeties. Safety is definitely our strength, I would say. Safety, and then Josh Newton, and a lot of really active athletic linebackers. When Johnny Hodges is in there, he's the cliche quarterback on the field. He's very, very high football IQ, high motor, led the Big 12 in tackles last year, if I remember correctly. Just been battling that thumb injury. Jamoy Hodge brings the wood every time. He's a very electric player to watch, and Shad Banks is super athletic. But we've been rolling linebackers in too. There's kids like Armstrong that have been getting some run, Marchicelli. The biggest question mark has been the defensive line. They've started to kind of put it together. We mentioned Oyewale, get a little pass rush. Dominic Williams is insanely young at nose tackle, but he played an outstanding true freshman season last year and has still been the one true constant on that line this year. But we also rotate a ton on the lines. This has also been a tough transition for TCU fans because we're used to Gary Patterson defenses and super fast athletic defensive ends that get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. That's just not the way that the 3-3-5 works. You got to bring more pressure from your linebackers, which was another kind of frustrating thing against Colorado, to be honest. But we have a lot more gap pluggers, to kind of force that spill and kill mentality. So, and those guys, they're coming up. Like there's guys like Caleb Fox, who early on in the season, I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm really not getting the production out of him that I'd like to see, but he's kind of starting to put it together a little bit. And again, this is first big challenge since Colorado. Here's the thing. You got to understand about SMU too. SMU plays us like it's the Super Bowl. We get their best shot every year. So for us to beat them 34-17, that is no small feat on our part. Usually it's a one-score game, doesn't matter how bad they are and how good we are. But here in West Virginia, we got a true test. All right, let's see what this defensive line's made of. Let's see if they can help the rest of the defense and actually put together a solid performance against a good team.
There's no doubt you're going to be tested. No doubt.
That's for Tim.
It's Charles Wesley Godwin. Have you heard of him?
No.
I
kind of stopped listening to country music after about 2003. But I love Tyler Childers. Love Tyler Childers.
Me too.
And I love Coulter Wall. And I love Chris Stapleton. And that's pretty much it as far as modern country music.
Jelly Roll now.
Do what?
Jelly Roll too now.
Yeah.
He sings country music now too, Jelly Roll.
I don't know Jelly Roll. I'll have to figure out who that is.
Oh, you never heard Jelly Roll? Okay.
I don't think so.
He said you probably have heard of him. We're on a live show, so I'm like in football mode, but Off camera, I'll send you a couple of his songs, dude. You
Okay.
probably definitely heard of him, or if you haven't, you'll like him. I think he's a rapper that's transitioned into country music here lately. He's a big old white dude. He probably weighs 400 pounds. Hence the name Jelly Roll.
Okay.
So I'm going to go keys to the game real quick for West Virginia before we get a prediction. My mom's about to pull up outside, and we got some stuff we're going to do. Here's my keys to the game, and it's been the same keys to the game for West Virginia every single game so far, and that is clock control. We have one of the best running games in the Big 12. No, it is not explosive, but it gets chunk yards, and we've been able to control the clock against every team we've played so far, and I think stealing possessions that way is going to be the keys to victory for us on the road. Defense and running game usually travel, so I think our running game is going to have to perform. We're going to have some explosive plays. We're not going to get it done with 20 points. We're going to have to get at least, I think, 27 to 30 in that range to win this football game. A night game in Fort Worth is going to be brutally hard to win in. So, Clint, I ask you, give me the keys to victory for TCU, and then give me a prediction.
Okay, I got 3 keys for you. Number 1 key, limit the mistakes on offense, right? We've been a little turnover happy in pretty much all of our games. We've had dumb turnovers. You got to limit those opportunities to give West Virginia the ball to keep it away from us, right? When we're in the red zone, we got to actually score and cash in on those opportunities. That's number 1. Number 2, control the line of scrimmage. Specifically, get pressure on West Virginia on defense, okay? Defensive line has to continue its upward trajectory, and they have to help out the back end of the defense by putting pressure on West Virginia and this really great offensive line. And number 3 is feed Jared Wiley, baby. You've got a great, probably could end up by the time this is all said and done being the best tight end in TCU history. He's a huge body. He's athletic. He is a weapon in the red zone. Feed that guy. When you're not giving the ball to Amani Bailey, feed Jared Wiley. Those are my 3 keys. I'm going to stick with the same prediction that I made when we were on my show, Paul. 35-24 TCU. West Virginia covers the spread, but we get out of there with a win and are feeling – I think everyone is feeling fairly positive coming out of this game. West Virginia could easily go on a winning streak after this game. I see minimum 4 wins left on West Virginia's schedule after the TCU game.
Very interesting. You know, West Virginia has an elite tight end as well, Cole Taylor, the LSU transfer.
All right.
Really going to look to get him involved. He's 6'7", 250 pounds. Yeah. And Neil Brown has a funny way of explaining him. He said he was open by birth. I always thought that was funny. He was born that way. It's like Lady Gaga said, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to stay away from a prediction on my show. I'm just going to go with the prediction
You're going to put the weight on me so you can clown me when I'm wrong. Okay, I see how it is.
No. So in all seriousness, I think it's going to be extremely hard for West Virginia to go on the road and get this win. If you're going to put my feet to the fire and ask me for a prediction, as you all know, I'm extremely try to be objective when it comes to Mountaineer football, and I'm going to say TCU wins this game 27-24. I don't remember what the score was on your show, but that's kind of how I feel. I think it's going to be a field goal game. West Virginia certainly could win this game, and I'll be screaming my heart out for us to win the game. But on the road in Fort Worth against a team that played in the national championship game last year, still has a lot of momentum, has won 3 straight, similar to us, but our offense has to perform better. And until I see that with my own 2 eyes, I just don't believe we can win this game without turnovers or something crazy happening in our favor. So maybe those things do happen when everything's equal and the way our offense is playing keeps, in the passing game the way it has been. It's going to be tough to win. But I do think we go on a run after that, and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I fully expect that. Very manageable schedule moving forward for West Virginia. I mean, I could even see a world where y'all beat Oklahoma and Norman, truly. I think they might be contenders.
Yeah, they the way Cincinnati played, it gives us hope for sure. Because they're a tough, nasty team with the running game, too. I think that's what we are. with a better running game.
And y'all always give Oklahoma fits. I feel like it feels like every year West Virginia's like right there, like about to beat Oklahoma, and then something stupid.
We beat them last year.
Yeah, last year finally. Yeah, but I'm saying like there's so many years where I'm like, oh, West Virginia's gonna get them. Let's go.
Oh
and and then it just something happens.
Clint, plug your stuff for everybody one more time before we get out of here, brother.
Yeah, sure thing. Follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55. Subscribe, check out my YouTube at Clint Foster Comedy. Lots of Big 12 themed sketches. Like I say, very TCU heavy during the season, but you'll see the West Virginia character after this week's game again. And also check out my new live show, Big 12 at the Voice of College Football. It's called The Biggest 12, but you can find it on YouTube at Big 12 VOCFB. That's Big 12 VOCFB. Paul was on just this week. We do it every Tuesday night around 6 p.m. Central Time. So 7 for most of y'all. Dinner's already over. You got the biscuits, the Tudor's biscuits and gravy digesting. Perfect time to come on and listen to some college football talk.
Absolutely.
So yeah, love to see you around.
Appreciate that, man. And guys, don't remember, I have membership packages down below. Check those out, guys. If you want to be a member of Mountaineer Paul Talk Football, now's the best time to do it. Get in while you can. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys for coming in. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talk Football. Appreciate you all for coming. This episode is over. Me and Clint are out.
Go Frogs. Trust the